Research Now.
Great. All right.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Research Now Live. Please join me in welcome Thomas Ziangas with AMC Networks.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. So, you've been in the research for a while, Nielsen.
I would say 25 plus years.
Yeah, wow, okay. Yeah. So, how do you see research impacting what you're doing at AMC for the next 2 to 5 years?
It's, you know, in the sessions they were talking about change, and things are changing so fast. And the one thing that we realize is the use for research, I think, is more important now than ever. When, you know, you were talking about 20 years ago and just looking at television for the broadcast networks and a handful of cable networks, it was pretty simple research back then. Now we have over 100 cable networks, 7 broadcast networks, VOD, Netflix, social media, ComScore, online information. It is our job in the research group to really provide our folks, and when I say our folks, senior management, with the most important information possible so they can make the best decisions. So that's why I think right now research is more and more, you know, integral to all the decisions that are being made, to how we program the network, how we sell the network from an ad sales perspective, and how we market the brand. So we use research in all of those, you know, components of all of our stakeholders. You know, also affiliate sales on how we, you know, value the networks to our MSO partners. So the need for research, I think, will only get larger because it's tough to make decisions without having the right information.
Absolutely, absolutely. So there's a lot of trends that kind of come in and out with social media coming up, and a number of different things to watch out for. Do you have one trend that you think is worth watching? And if you do, then what do you find interesting about it?
And you made mention of it. I think it really interests me a lot. You know, social media is something today that really, I think, resonates with researchers. So it's very simple to come out and say, this is what, you know, Mad Men came out with a 2.5 rating and 3.5 million viewers.
Right.
I think it's even more important to come out on how people are tracking you and talking about you and buzzing about your program. I mean, there's an element of qualitative information in that we just don't have today. How passionate are the viewers with certain characters? How passionate are they with the storyline? How do they differentiate, you know, a program like Mad Men, which isn't the highest rated program, it does very well, but how does that compare to other programs that are alike in delivery? And what we've seen is that, you know, our programs, especially on AMC, Re and IFC with Portlandia, they have an inordinate amount of social activity and buzz around them. People talk about these programs. They're passionate about these programs. They track it. They just know everything about the program. It's almost like a built-in focus group for us, that on a daily basis we can find out when that program airs what is the pulse of the actual viewer. Not just what the eyeballs are, but what their thoughts are, what they're talking about, what's important to them. You know, I call them passionates, and that's what they are. So those things just, you know, I think it just started in the first inning. So all media measurement, when we're talking about Nielsen, was 40, 50 years ago. But today, it's, you know, when you're looking at social media, we're in the first inning, and I think we're here to better understand what's going on and how we can track our programs in a more qualitative measurement.
Right. So with all these trends that are up, there's a lot of buzzwords. Lots of new buzzwords, old buzzwords. What do you think is the most annoying one used in the business?
Engagement.
Engagement?
Yes.
Okay.
It means so many different things to a bunch of researchers. Is the program engaging? Is the commercial engaging? How do you define engagement? Is it if you're sitting in a room with your family and watching TV? Is that engaging? Is it if you're, you know,
downloading something.
Downloading something or watching with your iPad and tapping things in there. It's just a term I think that just gets misused. That's why I like using more so an emotional attachment. I think that's engagement. So whether it's an emotional attachment to the program, or it's an emotional attachment to a brand, a car, a BMW.
Right.
That to me is how we really should be looking at it.
Okay.
But the word engagement can mean so much. It could actually mean you're putting a ring on someone's finger, right?
That's my favorite term.
That's right.
So, what are some of the most interesting changes you've seen in consumer behavior? You've mentioned social media. In the past year or two, that's something interesting that you've seen.
The first thing I look at are my kids. I have 2 boys, one's 18 and one is 12. And just watching them, the way they multitask with everything. So it's amazing. I watch my older son doing his homework. He has his Beats on his head listening to iTunes. The TV is on. He's IMing his friends with his homework, and he's actually on the computer doing what he's doing. So, I remember when I was a kid, I just put the TV on because I just needed it as a companion piece when I was doing my homework. But how the younger generation is interacting with media, I think it's important to understand what those trends will be 5, 10, 15 years out from now. So the key thing to me is multitasking. It's amazing how many different things folks can do in today's environment. I use my TV for listening to music. I use Pandora, and I'll have that in the background, and I'll watch a program, or then I'll go on my iPad and get information about who the star is in the movie. I think people say that is not engaging because it's kind of taking you away from the screen, but I think people can do so much more now. You don't need to focus on one thing. So to me, understanding how consumers are multitasking, and the same way too, I'm on my way to the train. I don't know which one I'm going to catch. I tell my wife, I said, what time is my next train on the Long Island Railroad?
She
pops onto her, iPhone, gets it for me, and then while she's on that iPhone, someone will call and tell her something about a new pair of shoes somewhere, and she'll order it, all in a matter of minutes. It's just amazing to me. So to me, I think our job as researchers really is to dig down deep to the consumers, and whether they're consuming media, whether they're consuming content, whether they're consuming products and services, they have the ability just to tap into so much more now, and I think we don't give credit for the amount that the consumer of today can actually do.
Totally. So you mentioned doing all those different things, like you're checking maps and buying things online and watching TV and music. What was the first app you ever downloaded?
I'll tell you the first app, and I still use it today. So Flipboard was my first app, and I love the fact that you have an app that can aggregate information. So so if I wanted to read anything in regard to media and technology, they bring in all the different information from whether it's Variety magazine or Hollywood Reporter, all in one place. So that was the first one that I downloaded. Then I downloaded things like Angry Birds. Downloaded apps like ESPN or Pandora. But again, the first one that I remember downloading was because someone told me about it. And they said it's great. You don't have to download 10 different magazine apps. You can just download Flipboard. So that's the one that I downloaded first, and I still use it every day.
That totally makes sense.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
That was painless, right?
That's it. Absolutely. Thank you.
I want to give you a thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you.